doing that. We just know that Chovy performing extraordinarily well at the moment. Not going to be in this particular game, though. It's Poby versus Fiesta, and we are here into the pick and ban for game number 1. T1 desperate to right the ship, desperate to pick up a victory and show that this isn't just Faker's team, that there are other great players on this team, and we know there are. We'll see whether we can actually see them and see that performance from them as well, as Poppy and LeBlanc both banned away, the Nico and the Viego taken away from T1 here as well. Tristana banned on blue side, quite
no Neela ban.
And yes, no Neela ban. Is it first pick Neela, Orcs?
I doubt it. I think the thing with Neela is that when she's good, she's great, but she doesn't fit always into every single comp. Even Nongshim weren't just like first rotation.
No, true.
There. And often when it was best was as like a second rotation pick. So, you know, T1 tends to be comfortable, although I do think a good spot for it for Nongshim would be like third pick on red side. Would be a decent spot, but probably not first rotation. We'll see though. We'll see what they go for. Obviously, they are the Neela experts, I would say, T1 in particular. And T1 just got off for the Annie. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. High priority pick on the patch and a fairly simple laning phase. And it looks like G were going to go for the Kai'Sa, and then this Sejuani locked in as well. So we could see on this third pick something like the Renekton or the Jax being a possibility.
Yeah, this is it's kind of the Sejuani trap that you can set up, because if both the Renekton and the Jax are available, you've got two very good options, and you can theoretically ban away the other one or just accept the matchup, because the 2v2 is always going to be so much better. Zaya going to be picked as the answer into the Kai'Sa. There is the Azir for Fiesta, his favorite pick at the moment. Didn't work into Chovy. We'll see whether it's going to work here into Poby. Oner does manage to pick up the Vi. A lot of agency now for the T1 jungler. And of course, Gumayusi's always been very good at this Zaya. We'll just see whether he can have that level of performance here today. Looking pretty comfortable, though, as far as these two drafts. Zaya picked without Rakan is a little bit sad if you're a romance fan. Yeah. But I don't think that she is necessarily going to suffer too much. Nautilus going to be taken away here.
It's also interesting because Rakan, honestly, one of the better picks for Peter.
Yeah, right.
Favorite pick. So they could have taken it on 4 if they really wanted, but opting to ban it away, go in a different direction. I do think a big thing is that Nongshim's composition, the thing with Kai'Sa is Kai'Sa works very well in dive comps. But because of how good a poke is, she can also kind of sit back and play from a distance. Combined with the Azir as well, up against a shorter range composition T1. T1 are really going to be wanting to have a lot of engage. They already have the Vi and Annie, which is great. We'll see if they can get more. And that kind of signifies maybe the Renekton pickup.
I don't think you need the maybe. Let's be real. But this is the thing. T1 can't ban both Renekton and Jax, so I don't think they're going to ban either of them. Maybe it's a Rel ban that comes in here, although they can just pick Alistar if they'd like to. Preferring not to think about how Keria looked on the champion last time around. Renekton is going to be banned, and now Dundun just gets to play as Jax, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if they opt to pick it on 4, or they want more information to see if they leave it till later. I do think having the support counter pick could be really valuable, so it would make a lot of sense to me just if you're confident in the Jax set you wanted to take it now. We haven't really seen any particular matchups that have made it difficult there, but looks like they want to prioritize the Rel, wanting a bit more engage with the rest of the composition. And now T1, I think no matter what,
Rumble Alistar, I would say, is going to come through here.
Pretty safe.
That is a lot of power, and of course, there is a happy Huni. He is sitting, waiting, ready to be on the space, ready to talk about how Zeus plays the Rumble. As that is Gragas. What's happening? Where am I?
Makes sense, honestly, into the Rel.
Or is it Annie's support?
No, I think the Gragas in the Rel is pretty good. You can belly boop when she goes to the engages. Also, she does go in, you can just knock away. But gonna go for the Alistar instead. So, looks like you're spot on. And we've seen the Rumble rise in priority since the mini rework he had, changes to his heat and his damage and stuff like that, but also a pretty good early matchup in a Jax. But if you do fall behind, if you do get punished, you will lose in the side lane super hard.
It's also blind, so the Cassante is what Dundun's going to pick up. I don't like that as much. It feels like Nongshim now are highly indexed into magic damage, assuming Jiwoo is going to go for the largely AP build, plus a Rage Blade. So it could mean that T1 can build a bunch of Merc Treads and then just be kind of K, but they don't have a lot of tanks.
But we have seen this build be popular recently, where you go Kraken Slayer, Navori, Morphman, Mortius.
Oh, that's cool.
It's been really popular on AD carries like Zaya, where you just want that big chunk of raw AD, and you're playing into like heavy AP, so definitely could see that come out. And obviously, Kai'Sa can go towards more AD later in the build, like going Ginsu's third and then picking up more AD options. but that's super late into the build, and early on you're going to have Shiv Nashers, which is, you know, a lot of AP damage.
Yep, it's going to be mainly magic. Nongshim, a well-rounded composition here. Dundun very happily on his Cassante, but the power level of Rumble is very high at the moment. Vi is top of the tier list still. Of course, hasn't received her nerfs because we are still on 13-12. And Alistair is fantastic into the Rel. We'll just have to see whether T1's coordination and teamwork has improved without Faker from last week, because that is where a lot of the doubts have started to arise. And Poby, of course, he has played the Annie before, but not to great success here in the LCK. And it's into Fiesta's Azir. There is a lot of comfort here on the side of Nongshim.
Yeah, and I think ultimately they had the tools to do it, but we've seen T1 really struggle, even with the tools available to them.
It's true. We'll just have to see how it is as we hop onto the Rift for Game 1. Wow. When I heard that T1 cheer, I was like, oh man, is there anyone here that's representing Nongshim? As it turns out, there's quite a few of them, and it was relatively loud. So we've got some Noodle enjoyers, and we've got some T1 enjoyers here in Lopak. Of course, generally it is split down the middle. There is, you buy tickets for one team, and you buy tickets for the other team. But it's often just a resounding T1 for the majority of the time. As Fiesta, experimenting with some more Teemo emotes. As Poby, I'm not... Super Galaxy Annie is not my favorite.
What is your favorite?
Reverse.
Yeah, that's fair.
100%. There is absolutely no, like, I don't know why you would ever want to not throw down Annie instead of Tibbers.
Yeah, what's your, like, upper tier, though?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like your top tier Annie skins, like, aside from Reverse. What are ones up there?
Ooh,
I like Anniversary. You know,
Anniversary is
big
good.
Teemo.
I do also like Prom Queen Annie, just because Tibbers in a tuxedo is adorable.
I think that's the thing. Tibbers is so regularly available, has so much uptime, and Annie's model is so small that I feel like it's more about the Tibbers than it is about the Annie.
I also like Frostfire because Tibbers has that really cute scarf. I'm a fan of the cute scarf. I think Annie's got some great... I like Franken Tibbers as well.
Yeah.
That's a really good skin. Extraordinarily old now. I think that was one of the first Hallow's End, or it was the second Hallow's End that ever happened. Same one with Bewitching Nidalee. That was a really, really good Hallow's End, not gonna lie. Anyway, we've got some laning here towards the bottom side as Juhu trying to get aggressive, does not quite find the Acathian Rain towards Keria and Gumayusi down here.
Yeah, Peter opting to remount there. Often you can use the remount to go in, but now looking for an angle.
Yeah, level 2 does come down. There's the flash out from Keria. Doesn't want to get hit by the stun. Gumayusi, good sidestep on the Void Seeker, but already a lot of dominance being asserted by the bottom lane of Nongshim here.
Yeah, I felt like a little bit of misexecution from Keria there, using his Q, I believe, before the engage came in. Does get punished for it, flash down, means potential setup for a gank going forwards. But ultimately, Alistair level 1, you're not really contesting that anyway, so not too huge of a deal. And does get access to that Hex Splash.
True, and that is... in some people's opinion, mainly mine, an upgrade. To be perfectly honest, it means you can just charge it all the time and have a really good time. So it should be okay. Dundun going to deal with this wave being perpetually shoved towards him. Currently down 3 CS if he manages to get all of these. So far doing all right in that department. Does have to wait for the turret to help with one of those minions and misses one of them. So it's going to be down 4. But this is to be expected, right? You're expecting the Rumble in this case to be in a pretty good spot. Super Galaxy in 2 lanes, so I do like the fact that we have the synergy between the solo lanes. That is good.
Especially, you know, with Poby being new to the roster, I think having that synergy in skins, very positive to see. Maybe something they practice in skins, in scrims. Losing my mind.
Yes, scrims, my favorite British teen drama.
Yeah.
As T1, they do find each other, the 2 junglers. It is going to be some shove. Oh, Dundun! Yeah, he's going to have to flash. He's like, I'll push you away and then run away as fast as I possibly can. That is precisely what's going to happen. So Zeus gets a free flash there towards the top side, where 1 flash apiece on both sides as Peter's crashing around all over the place. Gumayusi fighting with Juhu here, and the Void Seeker's not going to land. Means a big victory. And so far, just pure laning prowess seems to be going the way of T1.
Doing pretty solidly, and we do see Dundun teleporting back up top. A little bit of MR picked up. one thing is Zeus is having an excellent time in this lane, but he is pushing pretty much the entire time, as you kind of expect from Rumble. Oh, Sylvie is spotted. That's actually really big, because I think Sylvie was trying to loop round and look for a potential gank. Into Sejuani Cassante, there is so much lockdown that if you are overextended, you're just gone.
Yep, that is very true. And Rumble is going to be pushed all the time. So we'll see how Zeus is going to play this one out, because you have to keep doing it, right? You have to keep applying that pressure. We will hear from Huni that if Zeus isn't always on the other side of the map, he's doing it wrong. That is how it goes. But does need to be careful, making sure that he does have awareness of where Sylvie is as often as he possibly can. Right now, going to go back, look for that first item buy, see how close to Sork Shoes he is, and he's going to be able to collect that as item number 1. That is definitely pretty good grades as far as the early laning phase for a Rumble. Being able to go back and get yourself some shoes feels real nice. And as you can see, he's doing a lot of damage, cutting through.
Yeah, I think the damage is big, but also just having that early movement speed means you can just run at your opponent with the Flame Spitter and they won't be able to outpace you. Also, good for evading ganks. I think a lot of people don't really think about the movement speed aspect of boots. You know, it's often about the fact that like Ninja Tabi, reduce damage, Merc Tread, the CC, but just getting that early MS, a massive factor in lanes like this. And no TP on Dundun, so he's probably going to end up missing the cannon here.
Ooh, it's a dangerous time. He is going to try and dash his way over, but it's also plates going over to Zeus as well. He is going to collect at least one of them. Yeah, exactly. And he's just doing so much work. Overheats. Dundun's going to be able to get in range, I think, of the experience. But you can see that Zeus doesn't actually use the ultimate, wants to hold on to that one in case he has to use it defensively. Oner moving here towards this bottom side, and T1 developing a lot of control in this game in the early stages.
Good return to form, honestly, from Zeus. I feel like, you know, a big thing with Faker not being there is we've talked a lot about how, like, they've looked worse on, like, map setups, on, like, lane assignments, but even the individual play has been a struggle. Obviously not necessarily related to their mid lane and not being there. But now we see T1 setting up for this dragon.
Yeah, Sylvie's sort of wandering in there pretty casually, as we can see. Dundun by himself towards the top side as the Rumble moves towards the mid lane. That should mean that T1 are just guaranteed this dragon. They will be able to collect it there. Oner with the pickup. Very nicely done. Next dragon going to be Hextech. So quite a few options. We're going to need both of us to concentrate. Me on getting Cloud Soul and you on not getting Chemtech.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
But yeah, it's actually really nicely done. The fact that Zeus, he does lose a bit of his lead in the top lane, but moving down, providing that cover in the mid lane, ensuring that Nongshim cannot contest the dragon, because if the Rumble turns up, you just lose. And all in all, a positive play. Early Ocean Dragon as well, pretty impactful in the laning phase. I'd honestly say out of all the dragons, Ocean is the best to have in lane. Obviously, it doesn't really hold up later on.
Ooh, Gio gonna have to cleanse here pretty early. And loses half of his health bar as well. Gumayusi playing quite aggressively, even on items here between these two 80 carries, but Gumayusi just catching him napping there, sitting on top of the feathers. Still, no first blood yet, only 300 gold in it, approximately. And Dundun getting a bit of respite in trade for that dragon. Definitely good news. Nongshim probably looking, as far as these drafts are concerned, at more of a mid to late game aim. For Nongshim's draft, a little bit more front to back, although they do have a Kai'Sa for potential dive. You look at an Azir and you're always pretty happy to go towards the honest to goodness 5v5s. And T1, their comp does so well in the mid game. Equalizer, Tibbers, a lot of burning people, and just a lot of value that you can pick up there. So we'll just see where T1 is going to put on the pressure, because this team in their heyday was just so good at pushing leads. Right now, they are creating some advantages around this map, but Nongshim are holding on.
But it's nice to see the Alistar moving up towards mid, Keria trying to show presence there. They get the pressure towards the top side, so they can take Herald. We did see Peter Matt, but again, I think the state of this top lane, the fact is Zeus is pretty consistently having Prio. They opt not to contest it, and they will get this Raptor Camp as a consolation prize, but T1 really doing a good job of constantly applying that pressure. Now with the Herald in hand, can look to extend it, but in return we see red buff taken as well here, and Oner will discover this.
Yeah,
might actually
walk over the control ward. He's
they're just backing away.
Yeah, Sylvie and Peter are just going to leave the area. Keria's moving up, wanting to defend the potential red and the potential escape that they were going to try and make after taking it. So, pretty subdued play there. It's not exactly what you want to see out of Nongshim. I think they could have probably just taking that one away with the advantage that they had, but not full information gained by the young team, so they are not going to take the added risk.
And you know, as much as like there's elements of Nongshim's comp which hold up well later in the game, I think if you fall behind, it feels so painful when you're so heavily AP, because enemy team's able to go for like luxury MR items in that situation after that core build. So T1 having the momentum here, obviously rough for Nongshim. The gold lead's not too big now, but I kind of want to see how this Herald is used. I do think when there's an Azir on the other side and a Shiv Kai'Sa, that taking down mid tier 1 is going to be a challenge. So I think Herald in mid probably makes the most sense in my mind.
I would agree. The old take the first Herald, put it in the mid lane, and then finish it off with the second one.
The double whammy.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. Get Shelly and Shirley working in tandem. As Dundon just trying to find some sort of lane presence here. Hasn't really been able to at all. However, he's holding on. You know, only 10 CS is going to be the gap between these two. That is fine. Negatron Cloak now completed. We'll see how the build is going to develop as well for Dundon. I'm hoping that there is still just a Sunfire Cape that's involved in some way.
Sylvie's already working on his, so...
Yeah, good. You need more magic damage. When you're fully indexed into magic damage, you just need to make sure that you can buy more magic damage.
I will say, though, Abyssal Mask...
Oh, the value.
Very high value in this situation. I love that a lot of the jungle builds we've seen for tanks is just like Sunfire, Abyssal Mask, Evan Shrouds, like Sunfire and 2 amp items.
You love to see it. Oner going to look for Sylvie here. Cease and desist is going to be available as Sylvie's just pushed out of his jungle. Now a potential dive onto Dundon could happen, but he is Cassante. And he has all of those things that Showmaker says, and there's a lot of them.
There is so many.
Yeah. So not going to opt in for it, just going to move back towards the mid lane, and there is that Rift Herald that we were talking about. So Shelly will be able to grab that charge, unless Peter can stop it. No, it looks like she will just be able to get into position, go for that little charge. And they should be able to claim a couple of plates here as well. Poby also going to get the money. Definitely good news for T1. Trying to stretch this gold lead towards the 1,000 mark. Static Shift is now done for Jiwoo, but we also have the Kraken Slayer up for Gumayusi. Second Drake might be a point of contention for both of these teams. We have a look in at the gold. Slight lead for Nongshim on the bottom side, but otherwise it's all coming up T1.
Yep, getting the plates there as well. Obviously low on the tower health, a big thing, but also push them ahead a bit. Do feel like T1, they just got a reset there for Oner. He's managed to pick up the Divine Sundra, so a pretty big spike there. And honestly, I don't feel like Nongshim really have much item-wise. Obviously the Shiv is okay, but I think the Kraken Slayer more impactful in these early fights. And, you know, Dundon's gone for this early force of nature just to try and mitigate the pressure that Zeus has in lane. But if we do end up in a team fight, I feel like Zeus is just the base damage of the Equalizer will make such a big difference.
No, I agree. Also means that Gumayusi could theoretically just cut through him. There's not a lot of armor right now. No shoes either. Dundon is walking barefoot around the top lane. As Poby's going to come on over, there is a control ward in this brush, and it looks like Nongshim are looking for a fight. Teleport in from both of these top laners, and in goes Oner. The flash out from Fiesta, though, and there is the equalizer, but First Blood goes over to Jiwoo. Dundon is burning down, needs to flash, but is going to be able to escape. And now Nongshim are looking for even more. Tibbers is going to be taken out. And T1, is there anything left in the tank to fight this one more time? No teleport from Dundon. So it's an honest 4v4, but still, T1 are going to back away, and Nongshim win the first team fight.
Just a complete overstep from Oner there, trying to catch out Fiesta, but it's Nazir, so mobile, still had the flash available, and the follow-up just wasn't there. You know, this is a composition where you have the Equalizer, the Tibbers, the Alistair as well, and we saw such a disconnect in that engage from T1. We'll see the replay here. So yeah, Oner sees an opportunity to hit Fiesta, goes in for it. Keria goes for Jiwoo at the same time though. It's so split.
Yeah, it's just a split call. Oner and Keria trying to take control at the same time. And a split call is never the way. You know, the wrong decision made by everyone is better than multiple right decisions made in different directions.
Yeah, oftentimes it's just about being on the same page. And I think a big factor as well was both Fiesta and Jiwoo having flashes available. I think that would have gone probably quite differently if they weren't able just to flash out of the initial engages. But yeah, definitely a bit of a mistake. And the trajectory, I feel, of this game, definitely a bit askew now after that. Obviously, T1 hoping to have had that second dragon, could be looking towards an early Mountain Soul. No longer the case now. And I will say Mountain Soul pretty big in this one. Nongshim have two big tanks. But T1 also, if you get that extra shield, it's so good against the Kai'Sa poke.
Something Cassante scaling. Something. Seems pretty good to me.
Seems pretty solid.
Well, rock solid. Malphite? Malphite would also have been really good. It gives him more armor.
True, but not so much in a Rumble.
Yes, because he's Malphited to Rumble. Not a whole lot of fun. Oner over here looking for Shirley. They should be able to collect this. It looks like there's not going to be a lot of contest because Sylvie is very interested in Oner's red buff. He is finally going to be able to take it away from him.
Yeah.
Yep. And Fiesta pushing Poby out of this lane. And it looks like this whole wave is going to be taken as well. Sylvie on the bottom side just means that Poby cannot step up. That is going to be the Krugs taken down. T1 now going to be able to move the Rift Herald in mid though. So Jiwoo not going to be defending this one by himself. And they were trying to race, trying to get themselves that first turret, but T1, with the help of Shirley, will easily be able to do this.
Oh, they get
also sparing the health bar. You love to see it. Sylvie moves down. Peter Hex flashing over. Zeus, he's here threatening the equalizer, and that will mean that she does manage to get that extra charge. No turret to be taken down outside of the outer. Still, definitely a good move here for T1 to open up the map. You mentioned trying to take that mid-outer turret is potentially difficult into the Azir and the wave clear of the Kai'Sa. They're not going to be as much of an issue now because it's already dead.
Yep, good move. And now you can kind of deep push the mid-wave and start to rotate in the enemy jungle and threaten those side lane towers. I feel like the pace hasn't been super fast in this game, right? Where at 16 minutes there's only been one kill. But you can see T1 trying to make the map movements to push the pace forwards, which I think is important for them.
Absolutely. And it's not quite the pace that we expect from this team and the swift decision-making that they have made in the past. But it definitely looks better than what we were seeing in the previous series, which was a lot of chaos that T1 didn't necessarily benefit from.
Yeah.
I think the more they can slow it down and try and, you know, think together and make these decisions slowly, the better it is going to be. But I hope that they can get themselves onto the same page in these team fights as well.
And that's a big thing, because when you have a composition like T1's, it is all going to come down to those team fights. Having so many engaged tools, having the layered damage of like the Equalizer and the Tibbers. Coordination is going to be key, and that's something that I'd say really has been lacking the most for this roster in recent weeks.
Is the departure of Faker. And a little bit before that as well, you have to say.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, is obviously, clearly Faker not being on the roster, there's a visible difference that everyone can see. But they...
Oh dear, there's a crash down. They do get the flash out of Poby, but the immediate Glacial Prison comes on in. But that is going to be a cease and desist onto Sylvie. He is looking to try and escape. The Equalizer going to be flashed out of. And now Cassante finds the backline, but the backline finds him. And he's just obliterated. We've equalized the kills here. As T1, 35 seconds until this first Mountain Drake.
Yeah, big response there. Everyone coming in, and a lot of ults not going to be available for this next team fight as a result, but it's going to be pretty even in terms of them. You know, Jiwoo and Fiesta still have theirs. Gumayusi has his Blade Caller available, but a very hectic, almost rushed fight coming out. Nongshim saw the opportunity for a pick, weren't quite able to execute though. And we'll see a replay. Poby just kind of caught out here. They're able to flash the initial engage, and then no one's actually hitting Poby here. The W from Jiwoo is blocked by the blue buff, and then it starts to get a little bit messy. The Equalizer coming in is in a beautiful spot to cut off the rest of the team, and yeah, a little bit isolated.
Yeah, sometimes you go all out and it doesn't pay off, but at least, you know, he gave it his all. He went all out, it's fine. We're not going to judge Dundun. That's his first death of the game, and it has looked worse than that. The previous series, definitely an example. There is that Mountain Drake that we were talking about. We'll go over to T1 here as a teleport towards the top side. Poby trying to make his way up. Peter still shadowing, hasn't really found too many opportunities, but he always seems to be there, which is certainly good news.
Yeah, I mean, right place, right time is important as a support, but yeah, it really hasn't seen too much action. We had that early flash burn from Keria in the laning phase, and then both teams have kind of just been trying to play the map as good as they can. Obviously, T1 does have that lead still from taking that first tower, now with the second dragon in pocket, very nice. But still kind of feels like a very slow-paced game, which is uncharacteristic from what we expect of T1, but probably for the best based on recent T1 gameplay.
That's what we were kind of talking about. The slow it down, be a little bit systematic, talk things over, that sort of thing. Could be working out as Poby going to move over and grab himself his own version of the blue buff. And Keria is just slapping wards around. towards this topside river. I was checking solo queues, and I might have to hold that thought for a moment as Dundun is looking for Zeus. That equalizer going to do nothing here, but Zeus is just going to burn him down. Sometimes you just get really, really hot and auto-attack stuff, and you win.
I love how, like, Dundun's dashing around, you know, flashing over.
Doing so many things.
And Zeus is just, like, burning him, just hitting him.
Yeah.
And like, yep.
That's hands-off keyboard. You're like having a drink while you've right-clicked him, and as long as the flame spit is still going, you just kill him.
Yep, that's what you need to do. The Demonic Embrace, obviously a lot of percentage HP burn, decent amount of value. And also, I think the big thing with the Demonic Embrace is it makes you so bulky in that situation. Obviously, K'Sante pretty good at just blowing up squishies when he ults, but took a lot more damage than I think Dundun was banking on to get Zeus low there.
Yeah, didn't quite work out. Losing your resistances into a rumble as well feels real bad. And we're going to have a look at it one more time, which is sad for Dundun, as the equalizer went wide, and I was thinking, oh, that is a fair bit of value. But it you know, it just doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What did he mean by the flash?
You know, I think he just wanted to show he's really trying. He put everything into it. He went all out.
Ah, that does make sense. That does help with my immersion for him being K'Sante, you know?
It feels like a very Dundun move, if I'm going to be honest. You know, some players would just accept, right, I don't think I'm winning this, I'll save the flash. But Dundun's like, no, I have to know.
Yeah.
If I use everything, would I have... No, you wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
But it's a learning experience. So the next time he looks for an all-in, probably soon.
Ooh, there is a flash pulverize onto Sylvie. He's looking to try and run his way out. It's a decent Magnet Storm, but no follow-up here from Peter, as Blade Caller is going to do a lot of damage. Oner is just dead once again, though, as Keria finds yet another one. A great equalizer. Look at the AoE, and look at Zeus. He's just back in, destroying everyone. Zeus, this is the guy that we missed from last week. Where have you been? Oh, it doesn't matter. We're just glad that he's back. That is going to be the triple. The ace comes through, and T1 will look for a Baron. Man, this Rumble champion's pretty good.
Yeah, looking pretty strong. And I'm going to be real. T1 still looking like they have some issues with coordination. The team fights Oner just going way too deep. But they have their secret weapon, which is Zeus just pressing his buttons.
He does it pretty well, too.
Pretty solid, yeah. Ends up being like a bit of a scattered one. Peter buys a lot of time, and Oner ends up so deep here in this situation. Looks positive for Nongshim at first with this equalizer on top of the Alistair combo. And look at the... What is that damage?
God, that was absurd. Was that that was a Tibbers, right? On top of the equalizer, on top of the Flame Spitter, and everything. Was there a Blade Caller there as well, or was that just the 2 AP? I don't know. It was a large amount of damages. Okay,
yeah, it was the Feather Pull. The Tibber was actually on the Azir.
Yeah, so it was the Blade Caller. The
Xayah Rumble combo.
And look, this was a tried and true one from back in the day. As Poby may die here. I think that it's going to be, tough for him to get out of that one.
You know, really good move from Nongshim. Often when teams reset, they get a Baron, they come back out, they try and set up all the waves, maybe a bit wide, and Nongshim just find an opportunity where Poby's walking up solo. This will really delay T1's ability to push and make things happen with this Baron. They might even go for this tier 2 here, get an objective bounty as well would be massive.
Yeah, they are going to be able to get it. There's a Siege Minion, so that is going to be bounty money. That is going to mean a negative Baron power play. Keeping their heads on their shoulders. Nongshim here, really nicely done. Keria going to come on over and scry them. And is it going to mean that we equalize the Drakes as well? Zeus is here. Okay, that's a Flash Prison. They want to try and take him down, but Keria is there to defend. Jiwoo going to be taken down, and now Sylvie, nothing he can do against Zeus and Oner, but mainly Zeus. Poby's going to teleport in, avoids the Q from Dundun there quite nicely, finds himself a little bit of a cone there, and once again the K'Sante is by himself. And there's not a whole lot that he's going to be able to do. He could have gone all out, but that was not the time to do it. A teleport from the Pigeon, and but not going to be enough. And he just heads towards the top side of the map. Peter will probably die. Does avoid the Vault Breaker, though, so he can say that he at least had that one. And that is actually some more money going over to Nongshim. Magnet Storm comes in. Oner is trying to kill him, and he will be able to do it. The Ignite's still ticking.
Very close.
Yeah, not too bad there from Peter. I think you can say that he almost got him.
He went all out. Dundun didn't this time.
No.
Peter went all out.
Thankfully, Peter had his back. That's what you expect from your teammates. If you can't go all out, make sure you have someone there who can.
Yeah, and again, this was good play from Nongshim, just catching Poby, kind of disrespecting, pushing up with Baron. But the problem is, yes, they get this, but you know, the theory of this play isn't too bad. Kill Zeus immediately so you can't one-shot your team, but the follow-up just isn't there, you know. We see Dundun knocked away so he can't do anything. Fiesta isn't near enough to get the damage down, and this is a 2-carry composition. You really need them hitting a target if you want them to go down quickly.
As Keria taking a bit of damage here towards the top side, but he will just remove them from the area. Zeus going to be able to take down. Okay. Just sometimes you want to press your equalizer button. You know, have you ever had that feeling where you're just
the
like,
numbers there.
I just want to press R.
Yeah, get the damage numbers up.
Yeah, no, I like it. And also, it's on about a 25-second cooldown at this point in time as well. Yeah. 3 items done, Night Harvester, as well as that Demonic Embrace and a Void Staff. Yes, I'd try to avoid Zeus, I think.
Yeah, I think part of the issue as well is that, again, Nongshim have a 2-carry composition. All they need to do is just dump like Violed with Equalizer on top on one of those carries, and then you have a 1-carry composition.
That is true, and that is half the carries gone.
Yep. And then they still have like Alistair, they still have like Annie.
Yeah.
Then there is 0-carry composition.
Yes. That would, yeah, as soon as Jiwoo then dies as well, then yeah. Not a great time as Equalizer comes down, Fiesta once again burning. And that is the wave taken down as well, so that means that T1 able to sit up next to this turret. They will be able to take that one down. No Baron left remaining. That one's going to be up again in 2 minutes' time. You know, 3 minutes on Mountain Soul for T1.
You don't really think of Rumble as a poke champion, but sometimes it just works.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just drop burning fire on them.
Equalizer can be used very, very, you know, it's got a lot of different uses.
A lot of flexibility. I also like the fact that we're seeing like the early Void Staff. Well, not super early, but the Void Staff coming out from Zeus. We did talk about how it was, how obviously there was a decent amount of AP on Nongshim, but also T1 have an AP solo lane as well, have a decent amount of AP. So getting the early Void Staffs in case, you know, in situations like Dundun, opting for that early Force of Nature, going to be able to take it out. And yeah, we just saw those damage numbers.
Yeah.
Pause for a second, that's a lot.
That is a lot. It's more than double the next guy on the list. It's pretty good. I'd say that Zeus is probably in pretty good position for a POG. I don't get a vote, so I don't necessarily know. I haven't received a voting certificate yet. I don't have any qualification when it comes to voting.
But we can judge of what you would have voted. And
I would have probably voted for Zeus.
Yeah, I think that's solid. I think that's a good vote.
It's not too bad. I mean, it took a lot of thinking to get there.
4-level lead as well. They're just really confirming that Zeus is the right vote. You know, sometimes it's a bit contentious as to who's going to be the POG. They're just really solidifying he is that guy.
Yeah, they're hammering it home. This is like the did you watch the game test? Because if you don't vote for Zeus in this one, then you didn't watch the game. As Nongshim now waiting under their inner turret here towards the top side. It's not over till it's over, but it's pretty close to over, is where I'm at.
Yeah, Keria just...
There's another Equalizer. It really likes Fiesta. The Equalizer really a big fan of the Pigeon. Down to 50% right now. Hasn't gone for the crown. And of course, I don't know whether we necessarily would have liked it if he did. Because you can't just throw harpoons,
you know,
Equalizers.
I didn't get to see if that was Keria's Hex Flash or his actual Flash.
I think it's the same thing though.
Well, he did kind of Hex Flash. If it was a Hex Flash into the wall and then Q, not a big deal. But if he did just flash into the wall and Q, not great. But probably not going to have a huge impact in this game, but not ideal. But yeah, I think that's the thing. You just like it has the same noise. So if you weren't specifically looking,
yeah, true.
But I do think it might have actually been his real flash.
Well, luckily for Keria, I missed it completely. So it's fine. To me, it never happened. As Dundun has less health than Zeus, which is a bit sad. He's about to get Flame Horizoned as well.
And he is 4 levels down.
And 1.5 items, full items, is the advantage. The Rumble is quite large, is what we're trying to illustrate here, and I think that we've got the point across. I think T1
like that,
also have.
You know that TFT set where you'd have like the mecha, and you get like the...
Yeah, that was the last one, right? Yeah. That is Zeus. And he's also got a relatively mecha skin as well. Also, he's Rumble, so I guess he's in a mecha. Does make some sense there as we got some flashes flying in. There's a headbutt pole onto Sylvie. He's trying to get himself out of there. Magnet Storm, they just dive on top of the Rumble. This time it's going to work. He gets the equalizer out, but it doesn't do anything. Void Seeker comes in. And Nongshim, they've managed to find so much of the damage. Like 50% of the game's damage is now dead. Can they actually take this Baron, though, is the question. There are still carries left remaining onto T1. Keria uses his Unbreakable Will, but the Baron, they are still taking it down. Oner in the area, but there it is. The Baron's going to be taken. They get the Feather Storm. Emperor's Divide's going to be flashed, though. Is now Gumayusi trying to get these auto attacks down. Fiesta going to get taken. The Blade Caller is big. Gumayusi now trying to get the autos in, but it's Jiwoo that locks it down. The Supercharger comes forward, and now Gumayushi's in trouble. Beautiful Arctic Assault. And Nongshim, they are going to win the team fight. Oner, can he escape? I don't know whether he's going to be able to. No volts to break over there. As Keria, can he taxi his way over? That would have been cute. Hex Flash going to get him back towards his jungler. And it's 3 for 3 in the end. So honestly, it's even, but the Baron goes to Nongshim.
Yeah, it's going to be Soul, though, it looks like, for T1, unless he can get back there in time. But here, just, yeah, not the best play. Poby super slow with a flash. They opt to go on the Sejuani, not a great call. And then Nongshim spot Zeus. They take the Rumble out of the equation. The Equalizer only hits Peter. Great play there. And then here, T1 still trying to contest without the Rumble. We do see moments like Gumayusi avoiding the Emperor's Divide really nice here. But Jiwoo is just untouched. And honestly, I feel like if he had more mana, he would have cleaned up this whole fight.
No, I agree. It was also definitely slightly scary to go in between all of these feathers to try and take down Gumayusi, but wasn't enough there. And as we can see now, it is Mountain Soul on T1, but it is still a 3,000 Baron power play here for Nongshim. That's got themselves back within touching distance. And Jiwoo's also got a really cool hat, a stopwatch there as well, sitting in the back pocket. His Kaiser is quite large.
We actually haven't seen T1 pick up much magic resist at all. You know, the expectation was to pick up quite a bit, but if you look across the board, the only Merc Treads is on Oner. No one else has really actually bought a magic resist item, surprisingly enough, so...
And when the only magic resist item is one Merc Treads, that's not really magic resist item, you know?
Yeah.
It's not really fitting the bill.
And especially when you have triple mountain, like any magic resist item you buy
is so much more effective, yeah.
Yeah, so not too sure about that decision coming out from the side of T1, but the extra shield will help against the Kaiser poke. Obviously refreshing when you're out of combat for a bit. But Nongshim trying to make the most and finally break that tier 1 mid, which has been up for such a long time.
No, exactly. And you can see the wave actually getting held by Oner here, quite frustrating, but Nongshim will be able to get some alone time with this turret as Zeus looking for Dundun. He does manage to find a Q. Equalizer going to get dashed out of the way of, and Dundun says, oh, that's how I do it. I just try not to get hit by all of the buttons.
It took him 5 deaths, but he's learned it now.
Exactly. Normally it takes 7, though, so he's improving. There we go.
I always just feel like it is just learning from experience whenever Dundun plays these games. Just, you know, oh, that didn't go well, cool, let's try it again, and we'll adjust, we'll tweak.
No, exactly.
Very scientific.
And he's like, I have 5 times more experience now of dying in awkward situations to learn from.
Yeah, it's like when you're in science class in school and you just like drop things in chemicals or mix them up and you're like, oh yeah, so this kind of exploded my face. Yeah. Let's try this one instead. Yeah. Here's your hypothesis. Yeah. And he's getting some good conclusions.
And if you leave the class and your face hasn't melted off, then it was a good class.
Well, I think Dundun's face melted quite a few times.
Ooh, is that why he purchased the Abyssal Mask? To hide his melted face?
Might work quite well.
Yeah.
But also, you know, we were talking about the lack of MR. The Abyssal Mask removes like a flat amount of magic resist, so...
Well, actually, like, look at his items. He's got gloves, he's got the hazmat suit, Force of Nature, he's got the mask now, and he's got the gumboots. He is well and truly protected.
Yeah.
He could go into space.
Is it a full suit with the Force of Nature? Because I don't think he's wearing any pants.
Oh, well, it's a robe. And you just can't see the fact that it comes with
Although,
pants.
to be fair, it does build out of the moon-winged plates, whatever.
Yeah, it builds out of pants. How can you not build pants when it builds out of pants? You're going to knit those pants into a top? No.
Maybe. It's creative.
No, I mean, it is creative. You just turn the legs into arms, I guess. There's got to be a very strange way to make that one work. We can see the goal difference over time here has moved back towards Nongshim somewhat. But T1, they still have themselves. Soul, 4,000 gold lead. The game's still in their hands. And they also have a gigantic Rumble, who doesn't have a stopwatch.
Yeah, just have a Rabadon, so going for the full damage, but you know what? This is starting to feel like it might come down to an Elder flip.
I can hear Valdez in the back of my mind talking about this item that's really good, that allows you to go golden and avoid damage quite some time, as we're going to check out Jack.
That one.
As Jiwoo is just, he needs, look, I love that. You get the value out of your stopwatch by looking cool in the fountain before turning it into a Zhonya's.
It's just for the observers. It's so unnecessary, and yet he does it, you know?
Oh, it's so good. So good.
It was actually just to demonstrate your point.
Yeah. And imagine having a composition that only has magic damage and he doesn't have to build Void Stuff, because there's only a Hex Drinker that has only just been purchased. And Oner now has the pants that can turn into Force of Nature. But he's only got the pants.
Yeah, now they're starting to build some magic resist. So T1 got the memo.
Yep.
But 20 seconds on Baron, a minute 20 on Elder. I don't think you get to complete those items before the game's over.
And I think that we'll see. T1, 10 seconds until this Baron is going to spawn. Elder in 1 minute time. This is Exodia available for T1 as Void Ticket will find Gumayusi, who needs more than a Hex Drinker, I think. Just maybe not getting hit by those is going to be better. As Peter finds a bit of a stun onto Oner. Poby looking for a flank angle. Sundisk has been put up in the mid lane. And there is the Glacial Prison. They just want to get out the ultimate from Keria, but they'll trade it for Sylvie's. And Oner now in position as well. Zeus is the scary one. They do need to pay attention, but Gumayusi, if they are too busy trying to take down Zeus, Gumayusi will kill all of them. So it's a difficult equation to try and work out. Okay, Oner is going to press that cease and desist button. They look for the backline as Jiwoo's going to survive. They take down Poby. Fiesta just barely goes golden to buy a few extra seconds. And Jiwoo going to have to go back here. T1 move back towards the Baron. They don't have their mid laner, but I mean, that's kind of been the state of this team for the last little while. And they will be able to take the Baron here. They can now move over towards the Elder Drake as well, as Nongshim are setting themselves up to try and have a defense.
Yeah, Fiesta is up about 6 seconds after Poby. They both have teleport, but that might be the difference maker. Elder's going to be the big one. The Baron, you know, the stats are nice, but I feel like it's not going to play that much of a part. It's all down to this fight.
Certainly is. They do have a teleport from Poby, but it's still 15 seconds away as Dundun just getting destroyed. These feathers are so dangerous as now Oner taking a lot of damage, but he's going to flash forward. Jiwoo needs to use the Zhonya's, but the rest of his team has been eradicated. And T1, they will be able to put together the Exodia if they would like to, but instead I think they'll just destroy a Nexus and move on towards game number 2.
You know what? They get the win in the end. It took quite a bit of time, and obviously Nongshim put up a decent fight considering the fact that T1 had Soul had such a big lead. T1 should just be able to close it out here. Poby looking forward, has Flash and Stun available. I think if they just blow up Fiesta, game's over.
Certainly should be. Fiesta does not have his Zhonya's back available. Just going to use this one wave. There's the Pulverize. Keria goes for the flash forward. Dundun burning down. Tibbers running after him in mecha form there as well, as the Equalizer is going to be thrown down on top of Fiesta again, much like it has all game long. He gets to the fountain, but the Nexus, it can't get there. It will be taken down.